Welcome to the Speech Sound Development video in our Supporting Your Child's Speech video series. I'm Nancy, an Alberta Health Services pediatric speech language pathologist, also called a speech therapist. In this video, you'll learn how children develop speech sounds as they grow and areas to watch in your child's speech. Let's start by talking about speech sounds. Making speech sounds is a complicated task. It involves many parts of the body working together in a coordinated way. First, air travels from the lungs into the voice box, also called the larynx. In the larynx, you have vocal cords or vocal folds that vibrate and produce sound. Then the sound travels into the mouth. Parts of the mouth, like the jaw, tongue, and lips, move in different ways to make different sounds. For example, when we make the P sound, we put our lips together and make a small puff of air. P. Another very important part of learning to make sounds is hearing and listening to sounds. We need to hear people talking around us and be able to hear ourselves talking to learn to make speech sounds. Our brain then coordinates these systems to make speech sounds. As you can see, speech is a complex task. That's why it takes time for children to develop all their speech sounds. So let's talk about individual speech sounds. Speech sounds are different from letters or the alphabet. In many cases, a speech sound is represented by a single letter, like the sound P is represented by the letter P. Sometimes a speech sound can be represented by two or more letters, like the sh sound is represented by the letters S and H together. Sometimes a speech sound can be represented by different letters, like the sound K is represented by the letters C and K, like in a word like cake. So when do children learn speech sounds? Children learn different speech sounds at different ages. Here are the sounds we expect for children to develop and at what age. Between 2 and 3 years old, most children will learn to say P as in pop, B as in bee, M as in mom, D as in dad, N as in no, H as in hat, W as in we, and most vowel sounds like ah, e, o, and oo. Between 3 and 4, most children will learn to say T as in top, K as in kite, G as in go, F as in foot, Y as in yes, and ng, like at the end of sing. Between 4 and 5 years old, most children will learn to say S as in so, Z as in zoo, L as in like, Sh as in sheep, Ch as in chin, J as in jump, and V as in van. Between 5 and 6 years old, most children will learn to say as in red, the loud th as in the, and zh, like in the middle of treasure. Between 6 and 7 years old, most children will learn the last speech sound to develop, which is the quiet th sound, as in thumb. As children are learning new sounds, they might not use them correctly all the time. You might hear errors in certain words, in sentences, or when your child is speaking fast. This is common. Over time, you'll likely find that your child starts to use the new sounds correctly more often. Listen carefully to your child's speech. Note any speech sound errors. If you find your child isn't making the sounds expected for their age, you can talk to your child's healthcare provider or a speech therapist. For example, The L sound develops between 4 and 5 years old. So, if you have a child who is 6 years old and having difficulty with the L sound, reach out for support. But if your 3-year-old is having difficulty with the L sound, there's no need for concern. Watch for your child to develop the speech sounds expected for their age. If you notice difficulties with specific speech sounds, you can help your child at home. Watch the Everyday Ideas and Sound Activities videos to learn more. If you find your child isn't making the speech sounds expected for their age, talk to your child's healthcare provider or a speech therapist. In addition to speech sounds, you can also consider how well your child is understood. A 2-year-old child is understood by parents about half the time and less by unfamiliar people. A 3-year-old child is understood by parents most of the time and only about half of the time by unfamiliar people. A 4-year-old is understood by parents almost all of the time and most of the time by unfamiliar people. Once a child is 5 and over, they are understood by everyone almost all the time. If you find your child is not understood as often as they should be, you can reach out for more help. When children have difficulties with speech sounds or being understood, it can cause frustration and affect participation. They may avoid participating in activities, speaking with people, or they may develop negative feelings about themselves. If your child is becoming frustrated, watch the Reducing Frustration video in this series to learn how you can help. If your child's speech is affecting their participation, reach out for more help. You've learned that hearing is an important part of speech development. If your child is having difficulties with their speech sounds, it could be related to their hearing. If your child's hearing has not been tested, or you suspect your child has a hearing problem, get your child's hearing checked by an audiologist. So, watch to see if your child is having difficulty with their speech sounds or being understood. If they are becoming frustrated or their speech is affecting their participation, and watch for concerns with hearing. To find a speech therapist or audiologist in your area, visit the links provided at the end of this video or find them in the video description. You can reach out for help on your own. You don't need a referral. Continue watching this video series to learn more ways to support your child's speech. Watch the Everyday Ideas video next.
Find information, support, and services for you and your child by clicking on the link in the description.